Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Prakash sir. Hope we can start the session.
Yes, sir, please.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, once again, good evening on this wonderful Sunday evening where we are hosting actually this pharmaceutical program for the first time on a Sunday. So thank you so much for sparing time on this Sunday. I am Sujit Nair and I will be your host and the moderator for today's session. First and foremost, I'll just brief you regarding the organizing team. This program is being organized by Spectratix Pharma. It's a knowledge-driven pharmaceutical consulting, training, and research organization, which has been committed for fostering innovation and also building this expertise into the life science sector as a whole. Okay, am I not audible?
Yes, you are. No problem.
Okay, thanks so much. Okay. With respect to Spectratix Pharma, it has been recognized by Startup India and also by MSME, which is working under Government of India. We are working very closely with both academicians, researchers, students, and also industry professionals, so as with the aim to gap or what you call as bridging the gap between theoretical knowledge and industrial expectations. So the organization provides specialized services with respect to pharmaceutical research, analytical development, regulatory affairs, quality assurance, quality control, even artificial intelligence applications in both your healthcare, clinical research, and professional skill development programs. So we also organize a lot of industry-focused programs where our aim is to create a future-ready workforce that is capable of addressing the evolving challenges that the industry is facing currently. Also, just a brief word about this Spectratix Knowledge Series. Some of you have already joined our previous session. This is the 21st session that we are conducting. Spectratix Knowledge Series is you can say, a educational initiative that has been launched by Spectratix Pharma through its academic arm, that is PharmaGyan, to make high quality industrial knowledge accessible to students, researchers, faculty members, and also professionals. So through this series, what we try to do is we try to bring together subject matter experts from both academia and industry so as to discuss emerging technologies, regulatory developments, scientific advancements, and also career opportunities in both pharmaceutical and healthcare science as a whole. Okay, through these web series or a series of expert talks, what Spectratix Knowledge series is trying to do is promote a continuous culture of continuous learning, professional networking, and also knowledge sharing. Each session is designed in such a way that we try to provide practical insights that participants can directly apply in their own field or their professional careers. Today's session also, that is AI, machine learning, and Python programming for pharmaceutical sciences, is a continuation of this mission. As the pharmaceutical industry, tries to embrace this digital transformation, which is new to pharma professionals. We are trying to understand these technologies, or understanding these technologies is no longer optional for us also, but it has become a necessity also for professionals in the pharma industry, though it is not our domain. Okay, so this seminar this webinar aims to introduce participants to the fundamentals of AI, machine learning, Python. And for this, conducting this session, we have with us Mr. Prakash Ukalkar. Mr. Prakash is an educator, he's a mentor, and also a project advisor who specializes in computer science, artificial intelligence, and data science, with a strong focus on research guidance, innovation, and skill development. He's been recognized as an NPTEL Discipline Star in Computer Science and Engineering by IIT Madras for excellence in teaching and also learner engagement. He is an innovation ambassador under the institution's Innovation Council, which is under the Ministry of Education, Government of India. Through this, he actively contributes to innovation ecosystems, research outreach, and entrepreneurship development. He has been certified in multiple specializations from Rice University, Johns Hopkins University, University of Michigan, AWS, and Google Cloud, covering business statistics, data science, both Python and R, and cloud engineering. He has also earned several AICTE NPTEL certifications in terms of research methodology, data science, Python, cloud computing, business statistics. And he's also actively participated in different Atal FDP programs on artificial intelligence, business analytics, applied data science, and life sciences. With respect to his experience, he is an experienced person in terms of software development, project execution, research mentoring, industry collaborations, academic resource management. So he's the right person to guide us with respect to this particular field. I welcome Prakash sir for this session, and so the forum is yours, sir. Please continue with the session.
Thank you very much, Sujit sir. That was quite detailed introduction. Thank you for the nice words. Thank you for the opportunity as well. I can see, though it is Sunday, but we got really good response. We crossed just 100. I'm really happy that so many of you are there today. And let's begin. As the time is permitted from 7:30 to 8:30, we will try to cover as much as possible within this stipulated time. If Sujit sir allows us, we will try to extend. I have, these 5 modules in front of you. We will go through it one by one. I'll try to touch upon the pharmaceutical sciences and related concept as much as possible, though I'm not from that particular domain. But yes, definitely I'll try to justify the audience why they are there and how they would be benefited from this session today. So let us look forward to it. This is the journey, right? So before we start, I would like to ask the present audience, right? How many of you have used any data analysis tool in the last year, or maybe recently? Like Excel, SPSS, GraphPad, or maybe something else. It's okay if you have access it or if you haven't. In either case, this session is designed for everyone. Yes, I can see few of the responses. Great. So don't worry, this session is designed for everyone here, whether you answered yes, no, or whether you have answered some tools or not. So that is why we all are here today. As you can see, this session is divided among 4 different modules. So we will be covering this. Module 1 basically has the foundations of AI. We start with the basic, what is AI, what is the difference between narrow AI, which exists today, and the sci-fi general AI, and critically, how do machines actually learn? So no jargon, just an intuition throughout the session. I won't be sharing too much technical jargon throughout. I'll be highlighting the important aspects of AI, how AI can be used in pharmaceutical, and then what is machine learning, and then what are the building blocks of the machine learning, followed by a very simple and quite easy live demonstration using Python code. So you can see these are the 4 modules we have. Foundations of AI, machine learning essentials. Then we have AI, ML in pharmaceutical sciences. And this is the heart of the session, by the way, right? We will have AlphaFold transforming protein structure prediction, and ML in clinical trial design, drug discovery pipeline, and some of the industry use cases with verified published data. Then at last, I'll help you to understand how you can set up the Python. There are a couple of ways how easily you can set up your own Python environment and start coding. Python is easy, quite easy, by the way, to learn and implement. So I'll help you to understand from where you can start. So we get hands-on, we install, or we may directly start using some cloud-based online platform for Python programming language. I will try to touch upon some fundamental language concept with pharmaceutical examples. So think of tonight as a guided journey. This module 1 is the map, module 2 is the vehicle, and module 3 is the destination. And what about module 2? Module 4 is you learning to drive from 1 to 3. Here we are. Foundations of AI, our first module. 3 questions.
Screen is not visible.
I think it is there. Please check. Is it the case with everyone?
It's actually not visible for few of those who are facing issues. Please rejoin.
Maybe because of low bandwidth, right? You may face this technical glitch. So in such cases, please rejoin using the same link or credentials. The screen is quite visible. Now let us start with this module 1. Module 1 is the foundations AI, and then you can see 3 important questions in front of you. What is AI? Yes, there are a lot of answers to it. We will see what exactly it is and how do machines actually learn, and why is all of this happening right now, and why your industry, pharmaceutical scientists, care about this. So in 1997, IBM's Deep Blue defeated world chess champion Gary Kasparov. People were shocked. The newspaper said computers can now think. It was started in 1997, by the way. That time people were started to think about like, yes, now computers can think like humans. But Deep Blue could only play chess. It could beat human beings. Beyond that, it could not make tea. It could not diagnose a disease. It had no idea it was playing chess. That is called as a narrow AI. Extraordinarily powerful in a specific domain and completely useless outside it. So everything we will discuss today is a narrow AI, and it is already revolutionizing the pharmaceutical industry, and not just pharmaceutical, by the way, all other related industries. So as you can see, AI is the field of computer science dedicated to building systems that can perform tasks normally requiring human intelligence, such as recognizing patterns, making decisions, understanding language, learning from experience. And then you can see, then
Sir,
yes.
everyone are facing same issue. Screen is not visible. Everyone they kept it in message chat box.
Okay, can you please check, Sujit sir? Is it happening with everyone?
No, I can see.
Yes. How many of you can see the screen? Can you please raise your hands? Yes. Yes, we can see. There are a lot of people can see it. Those who can't, please rejoin using the same link, or please check your network. May I, Sujit sir?
Yes, sir. Please continue.
Okay. Now you can see AI is the field of computer science dedicated to building systems that can perform tasks normally requiring human skill or human intelligence. It can recognize patterns, make decisions, understand language, learn from the user experience or past experience. So we got 3 important types here. Narrow AI, what exists basically today. All AI systems in use today are narrow AI. They are designed for one task, and they do it exceptionally well. For example, Google Translate, you might have used it. It quite easily translate one language into the other, right? Then you have AlphaFold, a protein structure, a spam filter in your Gmail or in your email accounts, right? A Netflix recommendation engine. Almost all OTTs nowadays recommend you content based on your past preferences, your past experiences. These are quite few examples of AI system which are already in place. In terms of pharma, a model that predicts whether a molecule will be toxic is a narrow AI. So it cannot do anything else. It can just tell you whether the molecule is a toxic or a non-toxic. It cannot tell you the time of a day. It cannot perform any other task until and unless it is designed for such purpose. The second type is general AI. So general AI would be a machine that can learn and perform any intellectual task. A human can, for example, switching from writing poetry to diagnosing cancer to playing chess, a very dynamic one. But unfortunately, we do not have this 1.8. So OpenAI that deep mind, and others are working towards it. The future might be that, but it would take its own time. How much time it would take, no one knows. The predictable time for such general AI would be 10 to 15 years from now on. ChatGPT is often called a general AI, but it is not. It is very powerful narrow AI that is trained specifically on language tasks. So basically, these are the misconception that ChatGPT is a general AI. No, it is simply a language-based tool which helps you, for certain specific tasks. And even it requires a lot of human intervention and human validation for the outputs. Then we have artificial superintelligence. So artificial superintelligence is purely theoretical today. It is a system smarter than all humans combined in every domain. Can you imagine? Even ChatGPT, even Claude, even such LLM models have a lot of limitations today, though they are, excellently performing human tasks. But still, those tools are have their own limitations. Similarly, if we think about artificial superintelligence, it would be a system that would beat all human beings from across the domain. So this is like a Terminator scenario, but it also does not exist, and we would have to wait for years for it. Now look at this timeline in front of you, right? Alan Turing, who is also known as a father of computer science. In 1950, Alan Turing asked, can machine thinks? And the revolution of machine learning, artificial intelligence started from that question. So he designed a Turing machine and proposed it. And that Turing machine is basically working like this. If a human cannot tell whether they are talking to a machine or a person, then the machine is intelligent. If a human can predict, if human can tell, the answer is given by the machine. Yes, the human beats it. But yes, that test was quite unbeatable for long time, and then it was eventually beaten by a couple of scientists, couple of people later after a few years. In 1956, John McCarthy coined this term AI, and that is how he's also known as a father of AI. So the word artificial intelligence was coined at Dartmouth conference by John McCarthy in 1956. Following that, in 1997, Deep Blue beat Kasparov, a chess champion, and it is a proof that AI could beat world champions in defined domains. Later on in 2012, ImageNet competition, it is from the Google, by the way. So they have developed deep learning model which beat traditional computer vision by huge margin. This was the watershed moment for modern AI. Following that, in 2017, AlphaFold enters CASP and begin revolutionizing protein structure prediction in pharmaceutical. In 2022, ChatGPT launches. Over 100 million users in just 2 months joined the ChatGPT, has started using ChatGPT, and it is one of the fastest consumer technology adoption in the history of mankind. Recently, in 2024, the US FDA has authorized 521 AI/ML enabled medical devices. So now AI is a mainstream in healthcare, and I would share the latest detail, the current statistic later on in this presentation. What is this current statistic from the FDA? How many devices they have approved in 2026? So when we say AI in pharma, what does it mean? We almost always mean machine learning. So don't be afraid of AI is taking your job. The nature of job, the description of job, the skill set of the job is changing. AI is not taking your job. AI is making your job quite simple, quite easy. The only condition is you should know how the AI work, right? So you have to get required skill set along with your own domain knowledge, which you already have, which you already possess, which you already improve over the period of time. But simultaneously, you also have to get these AI skill. So always remember, AI in pharma means machine learning in pharma. What is machine learning? It is a subset of AI where systems learn patterns from data. And this is what exactly we focus on today. Now look at this. How do machine actually learn? There are 4 steps in this learning loop. Step number 1, data input. You feed the model a lot of examples, your data, your inputs, In case of drug activity prediction, you give it thousands of molecules, each described numerically, such as molecular weight, log P, number of hydrogen donors, acceptors, etc. Then that model gets trained. Can you see this slide, by the way? How do machine actually learn? Yes. Fine. So, good. Now look at this. These are the 4 steps in this machine learning loop: data input, model training, prediction, and then error measured. Quite simple. I'm making it quite easy for you, even though you don't know anything about machine learning, anything about AI. This is quite easy to understand. If you would like to build any machine learning model for your healthcare, for your pharmaceutical studies, this is how you can do it. The very first thing, you need raw data, your inputs. And then you give these inputs to your machine learning model. Based on your inputs, model gets trained. And then it starts predicting. Obviously, there are a lot of insights behind, there are a lot of functionalities and insights working behind the scene, like which particular machine learning model, what statistical method, what programming language, what environments and all. But at the outset, you can imagine these are the simplest 4 steps. Step number 1, you provide input to your machine learning. Then machine learning starts thinking, start working on your input, and then it gets trained. As soon as it gets trained, you provide new information, right? New input, unknown information to that model, and that model starts predicting the output. And then you check your prediction. Those predictions are correct, accurate, or inaccurate. And based on that, you measure the error. So these are quite easy 4 steps. So you feed the model with a lot of examples. Then the model makes initial guesses about which molecules are active. These guesses are random at first, like a new pharmacist who never seen a drug structure before. Then the model produces an output, maybe active or inactive, or with some probability like 85% correct result, 70% correct result, 90% correct result, 95% correct result, right? It depends on what quality of inputs, the type of machine learning algorithm, the type of parameters you use to tune the machine learning model, right? But accordingly, you get the output. Either your machine learning predict a specific class, a label, or your machine learning predicts a specific value or probability, accuracy. So depending on that, you measure the quality and accuracy of the output, and you also measure the error. So we compare the model prediction to actual answer. How wrong was it? And the difference is called as the loss or error. And here, the very important mechanism comes into the picture: back propagation. The error signal is propagated backwards through the model, and each internal number, let us say weight, is adjusted slightly to reduce that error. And you do it thousands of times across thousands of examples, and then model keeps improving, the model keeps learning, and then this is called as a back propagation. So for example, in your case, imagine teaching a medical student to diagnose. They examine a patient, give a diagnosis, and you tell them they're wrong. So what they should do then they adjust their mental model. They repeat the same process with quite improvements, and then they repeat it thousands of times, and that is how the machine learning is. So at initial guesses, machine learning is not perfect, not accurate, not predictable, but over the time, with the help of back propagation, by understanding the error, by understanding the log, with the back propagation, that machine learning model keep adjusting its parameter, its weight, its internal technicalities, and then it improvises its results over the period of time. So it is a quite repetitive or iterative process, right? But with the help of machine learning programming, with the help of Python programming, it is quite easy. You don't have to wait for hours and days. That repetition, thousands of repetition, can be done very quickly within few minutes, right? So as you can see, in terms of pharma analogy as well, what would be your training data? The patients enrolled in the trial, and the model learns from their responses. What would be features or inputs in such cases? the patient's biomarkers like patient's age, genetic markers, biomarker levels. What would be your possible output then? Labels. In machine learning terminology, it is called as labels, features and label. Features means input. It could be one input, two input, or more than two inputs. And labels means a kind of output. There would be two possible cases in such cases. Either we are predicting value, a single value, single continuous value, or we are predicting a specific class 1, class 2, class 3, type 1, type 2, type 3, patient 1, or maybe a type of disease 1, disease 2, disease 3, depends. So that is called as labels, outputs. So in terms of pharma, what would be the labels here? Did the patient respond to the drug? Yes or no? A binary classification, yes or no. Patient is reacting positively to the drug, yes, good news. If it is not, accordingly it would predict based on the input provided. But you have to validate your results. You cannot rely on this machine learning, on AI. You have to validate it. So that's where the human skills are required. We know that AI work flawlessly, but without human intervention, yes, it is useless. Because even though it is predicting something, and if you are implementing it, the result would be disastrous, right? So that's why human interventions are always required. So model validation is required. So we test on some external cohort the model has never seen, just like phase 3 trial in a new population. So this is not a metaphor. This is literally how many clinical AI models are built. Whatever you know in pharmaceutical sciences, don't be amazed by it. Behind the scenes, there are statistical and mathematical formulae. These machine learning is nothing but the mathematics working behind it. It is just wrapped with fancy words like AI, machine, and a lot of machine learning algorithms, right? But behind the scene, the mathematics and statistics is working, and you have to understand this. Yes, it will take its own course, but with patience, with practice, you can learn this. So what is the misconception here which needs to be addressed? AI does not understand in a way human does. It learns statistical correlations. It learns the pattern between the data. A model predicting drug toxicity has no idea what a lever is. It has found numerical patterns in the training data which you provide as an input. The intelligence is in the pattern, not in the comprehension. So it is learning. So it is not learning, by the way. It is understanding the correlation between your input variables, between your input 1, input 3, and whatever the statistical and numerical value you provide to that machine learning model. And based on that, it predicts you, it gives you some output. So that is how the mathematics goes on behind the scene. So that you have to understand. Now, the very important topic here, that was quite easy introduction to machine learning. This is deep learning, like neural networks. So look at this diagram. A neural network has 3 important parts here, right? The part number 1, input layer. You can see there are 3 features: molecular weight, log P, and hydrogen donors. Then there are hidden layers. I have shown few layers based on the screen size and all, but imagine there could be hundreds of input features in the input layer. There could be hundreds of intermediate hidden layers, and there would be just one output layer. So this is how the neural network goes on. Input layer. Each node in the input layer represents one feature of the data. In this case, you can see 3 features: molecular weight, log P, and number of hydrogen donors. If your data set has 100 features, you have 100 input nodes. That circle is basically an input node. So if your data set has 100 features, 100 columns, right, then it will have 100 nodes. So if you are analyzing images, and you know that images has a pixel. So for example, your image size is like 10 by 10. So how many input nodes you would have? 10 into 10, 100 input layers. So that is how it goes on. Basically, you know that the image size goes on 1024 by 1024 because of, you know, very high resolution devices we have. But that is how, when we apply deep learning, machine learning on images, we reduce the size up to some acceptable limit like 224 by 224 pixel image. Then we have second layer, hidden layer. Hidden layers are where the learning happens actually. Each node computes a weighted sum of all inputs from the previous layer. In this case, the immediate previous layer is input layer, but there can be, as I mentioned, there can be more than one hidden layers. And these hidden layers apply some activation functions. In deep learning, there are many hidden layers. Then we have output layer. In this example, the output layer is active or inactive. And it is, as you can see, output or repetitive, there are two classes. The deep learning, machine learning could predict the active or inactive in such cases. So it is a binary classification. And it might be a number like IC50 value, or if it is a multi-classification problem, so it might be one of the many drug categories. If there are 3, 4, 5 or more categories, then it can be one of many categories. So what are the important concepts here? Neuron, node. Think of it like a pharma formulation step. Each step takes input, raw material, applies process, activation function, and produces an output, that intermediate product. So nodes are processing unit. What does mean by weights here? Each connection between node has a number associated with it, which is not shown in the picture, but you can imagine here there are weights from here to this hidden layer input. So each connection between node has a number associated with it, a weight. During training, these weights are adjusted. I have shown the back propagation on the previous slide as well. The back propagation happen here as well. So during training, these weights are adjusted until the model gets prediction right. A fully trained neural network for drug toxicity might have millions of carefully tuned weights. It depends. Now, what is activation function? Without activation function, this neural network is just a matrix multiplication, because you have at input layer numbers, so many features and their numerical values. Hidden layer with weights, and then you are multiplying and getting your output layer. So that's why we need an activation layer. What are the activations functions here? ReLU, like rectified illuminate or sigmoid. There are others as well, but these are popularly used, which allow the network to model complex curve relationships like dose response curves. If the input is negative, with the help of activation function, the output becomes 0. It does not show you negative output. It shows 0 output, not usable output. That is also an insight depending on your input. If your output is positive, it shows the actual output, unchanged output. So that is how this activation function goes. If the result is negative, it converts into 0, basically the ReLU function. And if it is positive, whatever the value it is, it shows that actual value. So this is incredibly powerful when stacked across millions of neurons. As you can see, there are a couple of neurons here. But imagine how brain works, human brain works. And that is exactly an imitation of brain neurons in the neural network in machine learning. So machine learning includes all algorithms that learn from data. And what does deep learning is? Deep learning specifically refers to neural networks with many layers. Deep learning excels at complex data. For example, image data, a bulk of text data, molecular data, while traditional machine learning deal with simple tabular data with small data set, few thousand records, or which is quite easy to carry in data frames in tables, right? And data structures provided by the Python programming language, where we can use simple machine learning algorithms like random forest, support vector machine, and some other. So these three input feature on this slide, molecular weight, log P, edge donors, are from Lipinski rule of 5. These are the standard descriptors pharmaceutical chemists already used to evaluate drug likeliness. The neural network is learning from the same molecular properties you already know. I have added the references here so that later you can go and check what is happening, what research has already been carried out using such neural networks or deep machine learning algorithms on pharmaceutical studies. That would be quite useful to you to understand how machine learning is being used in pharma. Now look at this machine, module number 2 now, machine learning essentials. We go now one level deeper. There are 3 fundamentally different ways a machine can learn, and each has distinct pharmaceutical applications. We will also look at the most dangerous steps, or I would say an important step in machine learning, and that is called as an overfitting, and how to avoid that. So we are moving from what is it to how does it work in practice. So this module, Machine Learning Essential, is give you the vocabulary to participate in AI machine learning discussion at your own organization. So before we move on, can anyone give me an example of how do you use AI in your pharmaceutical study? For what purpose you use AI? Please go on. You don't have to talk, you can text, you can chat. Can anyone give an example of AI used in pharma? Why we use AI in pharmaceutical? What is the purpose? You would say for prediction. Yes, that's right. That is what we are discussing, right? But what are the other cases? Don't worry, if it is not perfect, we are just trying to make this.
Hello.
Yes.
So the screen is not at all visible, sir, and many people are facing the same issue. We tried to rejoin the meeting, but it is showing max participants has reached. No one is able to see the screen, sir, from past half an hour.
Okay, that might be the limit because 100 participants are there. Sujit sir,
Yeah,
can you?
even I
Okay.
have to change the device for rejoining, but no one is able to
Yes.
see the screen.
Okay, those
Okay.
who are yes, please, sir.
Okay, sorry. With respect to those who are facing the issue with this screen issue, I have already dropped a message in the group also that we will be providing the recordings, and don't worry about the certificates. Certificates will be issued. Don't worry about that. Sir, please continue.
Yes. Now this is an important slide. Look at this. As I mentioned, there are three important types of machine learning: supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning. I'll throw a light on it. Let us look at these three important types of it. Supervised learning. In supervised learning, we give the model labeled examples, input plus correct output pair. So the model already knows what is the input and what are the outputs, right? And then model starts learning to map input with the output. So already the input and output is known to the model. That is called as a supervised learning. That is quite happening right now. I am sharing some insights in AI, ML, Python, how you can use in pharmaceutical. In short, I'm teaching it as a student, as a participant. You are getting it, you are trying to understanding, you are learning it. So that is called as a supervised learning, right? So drug, how you can use in pharmaceutical, like drug toxicity prediction. You give the model 10,000 molecules with known toxicity levels, like whether the molecules are toxic or non-toxic. It learns the chemical patterns associated with that toxicity, and then you give it a new untested molecule. For example, first you train the model on known input and output, and then you build the machine learning model. Remember the 4 step on the previous slide I told you, right? Input, then model training, and then prediction. So you are at prediction now. You gave an input, model got trained, and now you want to predict. But to predict, you are giving model some unknown value which the model don't know, on which the model does not get trained. So the model don't know what are the correct outputs, but it has already been trained on some good amount of data. In this case, that 10,000 molecules. So now you give an input, and then model try to classify it as a toxic or non-toxic, and then you validate that output using some machine learning evaluation functions, right? So there are ways how you can evaluate and validate the output in machine learning. I'll be coming on to that part later, but yes, this is how it works. Supervised learning, you train a model on known input output, then you give a model some input, and then check the model gives you the correct output or not. If model does not give a correct output, you fine tune the model and keep fine tuning it until and unless it gives you some reasonable outputs. So that is how it works. Then it can be also used for tumor classification. A CNN, a convolutional neural network trained on 50,000 label pathology slides, learn to distinguish benign from malignant tissue with pathologist level accuracy. Some of the algorithms available in supervised learning are linear logistic regression, which are quite simplest and the starting point when you start learning machine learning, supervised machine learning. It predicts number or probabilities, and it is the foundation of many pharma QSR model. Then we have random forest. It is basically based on one or more decision trees, and it is called as ensemble of decision trees. It is robust, handle noise well. Then we have support vector machine. We have neural networks, which are used for complex pattern, image data, molecular graphs. So supervised machine learning has a good set of machine learning algorithms. Yes. Then we have unsupervised machine learning. What it is? No labels. Now you feed the unsupervised machine learning data model with a data which has no output. In earlier case, you had input and the mapped outputs. But in unsupervised, you are giving data input to the model, to the machine learning model, which has no known outputs. The algorithm finds the hidden structure in the data on its own and try to categorize the outputs accordingly. For example, patient stratification. You have genome profiles of 5,000 cancer patients, no labels, no subtypes defined. In unsupervised, K means clustering algorithm. Like I mentioned some of the algorithms before, SVM, random forest, linear logistic regression. But in unsupervised, we have K means machine learning algorithm. It is a clustering algorithm. So K means clustering algorithm groups these patients wherein you have their profiles only and you don't know how to classify them, how to divide them into type and subtypes. So K means clustering algorithm group these patients with similar genome signatures. So you discover maybe more than one types, 4 patient subtypes you did not know earlier it was existed, but you cannot just check the 5,000 patient profile and classify them into 4 or 5 types, right? So that is what is important. In such cases, unsupervised algorithm help you to cluster into similar and dissimilar groups, into similar and dissimilar pattern of the data. So this is exactly how modern precision oncology works. Then we have another example like unknown adverse event clusters. You feed unsupervised machine learning model 10 years of adverse event reports. And then in unsupervised machine learning algorithm, we have PCA, one of the important concept, principal component analysis, and a clustering, which reveal that a cluster of seemingly unrelated events, for example, fatigue, vision changes, joint pain, and it actually has a common drug mechanism. So that is how you can apply unsupervised machine learning in a pharmaceutical science. I am trying to touch upon like what is basically supervised and how what is exactly the unsupervised and how these two are different. The job of this machine learning algorithm is to predict, give you some results, insights based on the data, and which is quite difficult for human beings to perform. So with the help of machine learning algorithms, we try to simplify that mathematical process, that analysis process, right? And it has its own type. Sometimes you have input with output. Sometimes you have just input. You don't know how to classify, how to understand this data and the hidden patterns in it. So we have this unsupervised machine learning algorithm wherein we don't know what are the possible categories. It helps us to classify data accordingly. Then we have third category, reinforcement learning. In this case, an agent, a kind of program, a subprogram, an agent learns by taking actions and receiving reward or a penalty signal. Like you are training a dog, and every good behavior of a dog, the dog gets treats. And in case of bad behavior, it gets correction. Usually gets slap or it gets correction. You know that. So that is how the animal learns through repetitive process, and then it corrects itself to give you some acceptable results. To reinforcement learning, it means learning by action, learning by faults. It is a trial and hit method, and it goes on and on until you have more hits than miss, right? So in pharmaceutical, you can use it for clinical trial dosing optimization. In such case, a reinforcement learning agent models a virtual patient. So it has a virtual patient population. It tries different dosing schedules, get rewarded for maximizing efficacy while minimizing toxicity. And this optimization done traditionally. If you do it traditionally, it would take years. But if you do it using reinforcement learning, it would take very, very less time and would give you some understanding, a kind of simulation like how it can be worked in the real-time environment. There are, companies working on such reinforcement modules. One of these in silico's medicine gentle model, which has been used. I'll be discussing in the later part of the presentation also. That is the first case study we'll be discussing, which has implemented the reinforcement learning model. Now, look at this 6 important key algorithm at a glance. There are many. These are not just 6 algorithms in machine learning and deep learning, or in short in AI. So AI do not have just these 6 machine learning algorithms. There are so many, but these are the 6 which has been quietly and widely used in the pharma industry and in other industry domain as well. So let me walk through these 6 important algorithms. These are basically categories of algorithms. So imagine asking 500 pharmacists to independently predict whether a compound will be absorbed well. Imagine you are asking 5 different people, 5 different experts in the pharma to predict whether a compound will be absorbed. So each pharmacist looks at different molecular features, make their own prediction, and you take the majority of it. Some of them say one case, some of they say other case, and you take the majority of the vote, and then that is the final result. So that is how the random forest work, right? It is known as a wisdom of crowds. There are correct results, there are incorrect results. You take the majority of the correct results, and that would be your final result. That is how the random forest work. Random forest is completely based on a decision trees. Decision tree has just one tree with number of labels. Random forest has many trees. You can define at the time of building the machine learning model, random forest model, how many trees you would like to have. But yes, random forest means many trees, many decision trees. So how it works? In pharma, you have ADMAT. What is ADMAT predictions? Absorption, distribution, metabolism, excretion, and toxicity. It is also used in clinical outcome prediction from patient data. So Pfizer uses random forest for early ADMAT screening, and it reduces late stage failures that cost $500 million each. So it is being already used by the Pfizer, and that particular machine learning model they have used for such purpose is random forest. Then we have neural network. Neural network is loosely inspired by the brain, as I mentioned. The way we have neurons in human brain, the same principle is used in the neural networks. So neural networks in number of layers are stacked, and each extract progressively more abstraction features. So layer 1 is an input to the layer 2, layer 2 is an input to the layer 3, and it goes on until we have output layer. And as I already mentioned, we can use it for image analysis, medical images, by the way, electronic health record, and for so many different purposes. So this look like the human brain, the human neurons working behind the scene. So in your case, the pathology image analysis can be performed using neural network, protein structure prediction, natural language processing for medical literature. These are some of the real world examples. Google has also used it for lymph node assistant. So Google developed the Google's lymph node assistant, which has 99% accuracy in detecting breast cancer metastasis in lymph node slides. So yes, these are practical use cases. Then we have support vector machine. Imagine you have 2 groups of data points. One is active data points, another is inactive drug data points, and you plot a space. And then you got more inputs, and now you want to classify whether it is an active drug case or an inactive drug case. The support vector machine basically help us to identify the widest possible gap between these two groups, which are the active drugs, which are the inactive drugs. So it identifies the optimal boundary with a wide space. So if you have a new data point, right, of these drugs, then support vector machine help you to classify whether it is an active drug or inactive drug. So that is how support vector machine help us. So in pharma, it can be used for gene expression classification, adverse dose reaction prediction, and there are other use cases as well. And then we have gradient boosting. Instead of building 500 independent trees, like in the first case, random forest, gradient boosting builds tree sequentially. It builds first tree. Tree means a mathematical model. In short, I'm saying tree, decision tree, machine learning. Whenever I see machine learning, it means a mathematical model. So gradient boosting again works on one mathematical model, one decision tree, and then it gets an output. Then it try to understand the error in that output, and then improvise in the second tree, and it keeps doing it until and unless it gets the predictable outcome. That is how it works. Then we have convolutional network part of deep learning machine learning algorithm. It has its own use cases. We have transformer, BERT and GPT. GPT stands for generative pre-trained transformer. BERT stands for bidirectional encoder representation from transformer. Both of these are two foundational AI architectures that revolutionize natural language processing. Before ChatGPT, before this LLM, NLP was in the boom. Just quite a couple of years before, everybody was starting to trying to understand and learn about natural language processing. But the course of action immediately changed when these LLMs came into the picture, into the market, and they came with these transformers, BERT and GPT. Both of these rely on transformer neural network, and they serve entirely different purpose. BERT is designed to understand the text, and GPT is designed to generate the text. But both are used together, right? Remember it, and that is how happening all around. When you use LLM, these models are working behind the scene. Then we have training smart, avoiding the overfit trap. I was mentioning that usually your machine learning data is divided into three parts: training set, validation set, and test set. You build model on training set, you validate the model, fine tune the model on validation set, and the 15% data which you haven't provided in the training and validation set, you provide that unseen data in the prediction set or testing set. So that is how it goes on. These are really deep topic. I wanted to touch upon this, how basically machine learning was. Remember the 4 steps again in the beginning: input, model training, prediction, and errors. So here is the case. This is input. We are at the model training stage. So in case we divide the original data set into 3 parts. This division can also be goes on 80%, 10%, 10%. It can be also goes on 60%, 20%, 20%. It based on the data scientist intuition, and depending on the output, depending on the problem statement, how it goes on. What does mean by overfitting here? In short, overfitting means your model predicts on the training data, on the 73% data, your model predicts 90%, 95% accuracy. But when you provide that remaining 15% input to the model, then model predicts just 60% accuracy. 90% on known information, 60% on unknown information. That is a huge gap, and that huge gap is called as overfitting. And how it is being solved? It is being solved. The solutions are given on the right side. You have more training data, you have some mathematical techniques like regularization, you have cross validation, you have early stopping, you have simpler models. So there are quite good strategies to improvise your machine learning modeling. I just wanted to highlight, if you ever build a machine learning model, you would have definitely came across overfitting or underfitting also. That is also another case which are not covering here. Then look at this, AML in pharmaceutical. That is a good, quite statistics for you. This is where it gets personal for everyone in this room now. we move from general machine learning theory, which is there already in the domain. You can go, you can Google, you watch on YouTube videos everywhere. What we have covered until now in last 13 minutes, you have seen that, you have heard that many times before. Now look at this. In AI, in pharma AI context, this is it. $2.6 billion, the average cost to bring one new drug to the market. This is not the research budget. This includes the cost of failures. For every drug that gets approved, roughly 9 fail in the development. So this cost includes the failures also. Then it usually takes 12 hours, but with the help of AI, the timeline can be significantly reduced. 32% in the discovery time. Then we have, as I mentioned previously also, as of 2024, the US Food and Drug Administration has approved 521 AI medical devices. But in 2026, the current statistic, how many devices has been approved? 1,450. That is being used in the pharma industry, right? And the vast majority of these AI/ML tools are concentrated in radiology or cardiovascular phase due to heavy reliance on digital imaging and ECGs. And generative AI has not been yet approved, but yes, over the period of time, maybe FDA and the related authorities can improve LLM also with a specified setting. So these are not hypothetical numbers. These are published, peer-reviewed, or regulatory statistics. You can check it. I've added the correct references here. Later on, you go and visit and study more about it. So AI in pharma is already here. Our job today is to understand it well enough to participate in it. So this is very important for you. I am taking little quite quickly because of the time limitations. So that's why. Now look, AI across the drug discovery pipeline. This is the 6-stage process. What is written here is basically the problem or a traditional approach, how a target identification using NLP mining, how hit finding, virtual screening, lead optimization using generative chemistry, preclinical like toxicity prediction, dose modeling, then phase 1, 2, 3 like patient selection, and then finally regulatory approvals using document review and signal. These are all traditional approaches. At the bottom, you can see these are the AI-based, machine learning, deep learning-based approaches. These are the pre-trained LLMs already built to identify the targets, to hit the findings, and the other stages. Like you have Cybert, you have Cambert, you have AlphaFold, Autodoc, Vina, then RDK, DeepCame, your ToxPlate. I have added the references at the end. You go through it later on. But this is what an overview of AI across the drug discovery platform. It is already there. You might not be aware of it, or you might be aware and using it. But this is for everyone, beginner to intermediate. This is for everyone. Your job is to go and explore what is it, how the traditional approaches are implemented in these 6 stages, and now if you implement AI, how it revolutionizes the existing processes, traditional processes. This is for you. Then look at this case study. I was mentioning that in the beginning. This case study helps us to understand every drug targets a protein. And a protein is a chain of amino acids, you know that, but it folds into complex 3D shape, and that shape determines what drugs can bind to it. So for last so many years, this structure required laboratory techniques like X-ray crystallography or cryo-electron microscopy, and it cost around thousands of dollars per structure, and it would take years, months to years, and that was quite difficult, performing such tasks. With the help of this AI-based AlphaFold 2 model, it has been quite easy nowadays. It would take less time, very less cost as compared to the traditional lab requirement, and it would give you flawless result. Now your job is to go and explore what is AlphaFold 2. Then we have ML in clinical trials, right? So these are 4 important aspects. It can use for patient recruitment based on electronic health records. You can see how much time it reduced, 68% reduction in the recruitment time. Then we have adaptive trial design. Recently in 2024, Bayesian-based machine learning model updates allocation ratios in real time based on interim results. FDA has approved it and adopted it already, and it has 40% fewer patients needed. Then we have adverse event detection. We have dropout predictions. Moving on. This was a core also. I'm moving on to the fourth section quickly because of the time limitation. But look at this. There are three ways how you can start with the Python. Option A, Google Colab, which is browser based, which is cloud based, which requires no installation at all. Along with the central processing unit capability, it also offers you GPU and TPU. GPU is a graphics processing unit and TensorFlow processing unit. So your job is to just go to colab.research.google.com. You need just a Gmail email address, go log in, open the website, and then you can start coding in Python. You don't need any installation. You don't need any setup. That's it, quite easy. And you can carry your code anywhere. Your code is in the drive, automatically set. From there, you can just start building your machine learning programs for pharma. Option B is an industry standard. Basically, it has a full local install on your machine, and it is best for production on anaconda.com. It comes with inbuilt libraries like Pandas, NumPy, Matplotlib, Seaborn, Scikit-learn, and so many others. 25 plus packages all already included. It's quite heavy. It requires 3 GB plus space on your machine. You have option C also, Microsoft VS Code plus Python. Right? It is a lightweight integrated development environment, a professional setup for developer. Usually the developer in computer science engineering has this setup on their machine. So you can have a VS Code plus Python on your machine, and then you can have a Python package and start coding the Python or machine learning based programming. It is available on code. So these are 3 simple setups. This is a code I wanted to explain today, but you have a quick glimpse of it. This is a code. You can see some of the variables you usually came across in your pharmaceutical study, like drug name, molecular weight, whether the drug is approved, or how many trials it has. These are different types of data. Look at this is a text. This is a floating real value. This is some true or false. The Boolean value, this is like an integer. So these different types of data can be saved accordingly in Python. In Python, we don't declare the type of data, whether it is integer, float, date, and all. Python automatically understand it. That's why it is called as Python is dynamically typed. No need to declare the types. Then we have different types of data structures in Python, like we have list, we have dictionaries, we have sets, we have tuples, and in core Python, basically, we have other ways of storing the information. So as you can see, we have dosages of this capacity in milligram. We have patient IDs stored like this. We can store thousands. Either we can do this, or we can have our own external file in Excel format, in CSV format, which we can import into the Python environment and start working on that data set. This is a dictionary. It has basically the key and their map values, like name, atorvastatin, then class, statin, then molecular weight, and then target. So we can have many keys and the respective values. And that is how a print statement can be used to print drug info target. What it would print? This value, HMG COA reductase. So that is how the Python program can be written quite easy. Instead of this, I can have an Excel file having 10,000 of record. See, in place of this few line of code, I can have just single line of code which imports an Excel file or CSV file which has 10,000 record. And simply this print statement using some other techniques like for loop and all, which is on the other slide, I can print this thousands of record in just one line of code. That is quite easy in Python. This is another part of the code, as again, the basic building blocks of Python, which has functions, loops, control structure. This is a function which is defined using a DEF keyword. Classify BMI. We can classify the patient. It's their BMI based on some input like weight in kilogram and height in meters. And we have a BMI formula here, weight divided by height square. This double exponentiation, which basically a Python syntax to declare the square. And then we have this if-else structure to categorize the input value in specific category, whether a patient is underweight, normal, overweight, or obese, right? Depending on the value of BMI, which is calculated here. So this is how it is. Following that, this is a square bracket inside it. It means a way of declaring variables, collections, groups in Python. We have list, we have arrays, we have dictionaries, we have set, we have tuples. In pandas, we have data frames, we have series. In NumPy, we have arrays, multi-dimensional arrays. A lot of Python functionalities we have. If time permits, maybe in next session, we will cover and have a specific demonstration of Python programming language. This is another drug activity prediction. I try to cover it. Let us look quickly. These are the important libraries which we usually import. You can look at the random forest classifier we just discussed. Then we have training, testing, split. Then we have some accuracy evaluation metrics, by the way. And then we have imported a data set from GitHub, which is there in the format. And then you can see that is how it can be imported. Then we have our own data, which is manually declared here, but you can have your CSV file as well. Then you can see 5. These are 4 features: input, molecular weight, then log P, H donor, hydrogen acceptor, and then our label, that is our output. We have to predict whether it is active or 0 means not active, right? So we can have machine learning algorithm based on this input data. What kind of machine learning? First, we divide data into 2 parts. 0.30 means test data is 0.3. It means training data is 0.7. 70% training data, 30% testing data. Then we use machine learning algorithm here, random forest classifier, which is based on multiple tree. How many trees we are using here? Number of estimator, 100 trees. So in your machine learning algorithm, we are using 100 trees. This fit function calls the input. You see here, xtrain is our input here, and y or ytrain is our output. So we are providing xtrain and ytrain, that is input, and building a model on training data. After this, the model gets built, and then we call this model to predict the test data, the remaining 30% data, and then we check, validate the output using accuracy score or some metrics, evaluation metrics. The outputs are not printed here. I wanted to demonstrate you live on Google Colab or VS Code, but you can understand. Look at this, only 15, 17 line of codes, not much. But I can analyze 10,000, 20,000, even more than that data using these many lines of code. I don't have to update this code at all. Instead of this, I can input an Excel file of having 10,000 record. Rest of the code remains same. And then I can execute this code and it will give me an actual output, the prediction, the classification, right? And its result, validation, how much accuracy it is. And even I can have graphs also, so that you can better understand the results, better understand the classifications and all. So that is quite easy in programming language like Python programming. Finally, this is what an environment you need if you would like to start with the Python programming language. You need pandas, you need NumPy, you need scikit-learn. In case of deep machine learning algorithm, you need TensorFlow, Keras. For visualization, you need Matplotlib and Seapon. There is also Plotly, another way of visualizing the data. For pharma-related case study, you need Chem Informatics, then you need Deep Chem and BioPython. These are all available on their respective slides. I have mentioned the slides, websites here as well. In just single statement, the executive statement, pip, Python interpreter, by the way. In Python environment, if you execute this statement, you will be able to install all these libraries in just one go. If you want to install one by one, you can have pip install pandas, pip install NumPy, pip install scikit-learn. Or if you type like this, all these library would get installed in just one line of code. That is how easy it is in Python programming. These are regulatory concerns. You just have a glimpse at your own, right? So these are a regulatory frameworks given by the FDA, FDML action plan in 2024. Then EMA reflection paper by the European medicine agencies. Then you have estimates by ICH E9R1. It is a statistical framework, applies to AI generated endpoints in adaptive trials. That is being validated by the regulatory authorities, right? And then you have 21 CFR part 11. It is an electronic record and signature. AI model and logs must comply for your good practice environments. There are ethical concerns also. If you apply AI, then if you implement AI, and that those results should not be biased, those results should be explainable, those results should be reproducible. It means if you execute the program again and again in different environment, it should not give different result. It should always give the same result. That does mean by reproducibility. And you have to maintain the patient privacy. These are ethical concerns. There are more ethical concerns also. I try to touch upon some important concepts here. Finally, this is an pharmaceutical AI opportunity around you. By 2030, you could see $45.7 billion, cumulative average growth rate all over the world. By the way, where is India? Anyone has any idea where is India in this market? This is a statistic in front of you, and by 2030, you may imagine, you may think your AI in pharma would go that long. But any idea about India? What is the current market state for India? Yes. Indian pharmaceutical market is around $65 billion. So AI in pharma is on the track to be comparable in value. So this represents massive job creation in the future. So in AIMR roles within pharma, in pharmatic companies, you can see great surge of job creation. But what is the requirement here? The requirement is here, you should be good in your own domain along with the AI-based skills. You must learn machine learning. You must learn the programming language. Python is widely used. There are other ways also to perform the machine learning, right? But Python is quite easy. There are also ready-made tools wherein you don't have to program at all. But if you get into this domain, if you start writing your first line of code, and if you do it for next 6 months, you would be quite comfortable in using AI machine learning in solving your pharmaceutical case studies. It will take its own time, but you can see already top companies are using these AI, Pfizer, Roche, then AstraZeneca, Novartis, and GSK. And for what purpose, you can see that as well. So that is what I hope to bring in front of you, so that you can understand AI is taking job of whom? Those who are not caring, right? Those who are not learning these AI-based skills. If you start learning AI-based skill, your job stay. Your nature of job would definitely change with the time. This is one more case study I wanted to add. I will have this later on. So finally, this is what you need. This is the last slide, by the way. So your learning roadmap from today onwards. Python and ML. You can go to those respective platforms and get more about it. Python org, Kaggle, and FastAPI and Scikit user front. Then particularly for pharma AI, you can go to DeepChem, Polypharmacy, and ChemBL and Open Targets. For academic papers, based on what case studies I have covered in this projection, you can go to those respective papers. And for regulatory related information, you have this. Finally, this is it. So AI is a tool. It's not at all a magic. All AI systems need quality data, rigorous validation, and human oversight. If humans are not there, AI would also be not there. So don't worry about it. We need human skill. We need human intelligence. Without human intelligence, AI is nothing. So know that. But you have to build that intelligence along with the AI intelligence. Note this. Then Python is a superpower until and unless we get something better in future. Presently, and obviously, it looks like Python will stay for a long time. So Python is a superpower. It is totally free. It is readable. It's like a human language. You don't have to worry about the syntaxes and all. You will learn along the way. So it is quite readable and supported by the world's largest scientific community. So if you start today, you will grow tomorrow. Start with writing one line of code today. That's it for today. I try to cover so many topics today. It was our first interaction. Hope we will meet again in future. That's it from me. You can connect me on LinkedIn at Prakash Ukharkar as well as on GitHub. I have other social media account also with the same name. So you can find me there. Please connect, give your feedback, keep in contact. Let's learn together. Let's implement together. Thank you very much for having patience and listening it carefully. This session is open for QA. Sujit sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. That was a really elaborative way of understanding Python and machine learning. With respect to the questions, I guess we will take only questions that are relevant to this because of time constraint. I saw one question which was very relevant to the topic. One second, sir. Sir, can you share some reference books for this ML and data science? Divya was asking.
Yes, if you see, I think you don't need books. It's quite easy, by the way, but I would prefer you to go to python.org. It's an official website of the Python, right? And there, if you see, I have mentioned this python.org/doc. There you will learn the Python very well. They have given very, very basic examples with their code snippet also. You have to just copy and paste the code in your Python and execute it. Even you don't have to write the code until and unless you write a complete program. But with those specific code snippet, you can understand each concept step by step. There are also courses on Kaggle, Microsoft Learn, on Google Learn, and other well-known platforms. So I would suggest you to go onto this platform first and then try to get some insights. And following that, you can start learning from the books.
Okay, thank you so much. One more question. Can I use PHP instead of Python for as a front end? This question comes from Indrajit Das Adhikari.
Yes. See, front end, we are moving towards other topic, by the way. Python is not just used for machine learning. Python used for development also. Yes, it can be used for web development. It can be used for mobile application development, software development also. Similarly, there are other web development programming language. PHP is one of the options. It depends on you for what purpose you would like to use a specific programming language, right? So PHP is specifically used for web development. You can go for if you want to develop interface. But when it comes to machine learning, no other option for it. Python is the best choice.
Okay. With respect to the feedbacks, there are multiple questions. The Google site, the link that is shared, it's of the site on the Google. There you have review section. In that review section, you have to drop the reviews. So it is open for everyone. So we always encourage you to go directly on Google and drop your reviews there, whatever section you want it. Okay. So with respect to the reviews, and with respect to the questions, how I would take this question in a general way. How would you validate any AI model? Not just for a regulatory submission, but in general, how will you validate an AI model?
As I have shown, right, there are validation matrices or metrics. Metrics means some formulas to validate the actual outcome. Like in machine learning, you have an accuracy function. You can provide the input and output to that accuracy function, then it will validate like how good and bad the error or without error your output is. Like we have different such metrics for regression algorithm, one of the type of machine learning algorithm, and again also classification algorithm. So in machine learning, you have some mathematical formulas or validation metrics to validate the result. When you say AI validation, it goes for machine learning validation, by the way. And as I mentioned, even though AI give you an excellent result, we need human intelligence. We need human validation also. Without human validation, we cannot pass AI. That's why we have a regulatory authorities.
Okay, so I guess we'll stop here. We'll be whatever questions you have, you can directly share in the group. Also, we have the discussion group open for you. Because of time constraint, we will have to stop here because this is a Sunday and we had to engage Prakash sir for this. So, sir, thank you so much for this particular session. We are really happy that you brought in that concept of Python and AI from a different perspective. Means as pharmacists or pharmaceutical industry professionals, we are not very much, we don't know much about the things that happen in the background. So I guess you really explained it from the right perspective. Also, you took the examples from the pharma itself. So that was, so we could understand the concepts in a better way. Thank you so much for this. As far as the recordings are there, it will be uploaded in the YouTube channel. We'll share it in the YouTube channel. Don't worry. Again, I'm saying don't worry about the certificates. We conduct these programs not just for the certificates point of view, for the sake of understanding these concepts. So don't worry about the certificates. We'll share the certificates. Yes, sir. Prakash, sir. Your final words.
So, as I mentioned, right, the session was quite quick because of the timing as well. It's Sunday, late evening, right? So, I would love to share more insights, but yes, maybe another day. I would like to thank Sujit Nair sir. We are very close friend. He gave me opportunity to share this stuff with all of you. I hope you get it. I'm available on LinkedIn and other social media platform. You can connect me anytime. I would be happy to help you when it comes to these technologies in your domain. And we will look forward to connect again on the same platform under the banner of Spectratix Pharma, right? Sujit
Yes.
sir and I will stay together as long as possible. So you can connect us and let us know how we can help you further. Thank you, Sujit sir, for providing this opportunity.
Thank you so much. Thank you all the participants and a good night.